High ticket closers that are making between $5,000 and $10,000 in commission that are looking to take their numbers up to the $20,000 to $30,000 a month mark. You have no excuse not to watch this video in its entirety, especially if you clicked on it in the first place to improve your sales skills. If you're not familiar with myself, my name's Ethan. I went from having no prior sales experience to making over $30,000 a month in commission as a high ticket closer, and I've cash collected over $56,062 in a single day. So grab a pen and paper, take some notes, and I promise you, if you begin to implement some of these advanced sales techniques, you'll break through every sales plateau that you've ran into up to now and finally get to the commission you deserve. Let's jump into the call review. Let's take a look at this. Let's check it out.
Can't quite hear you if you just want to unmute yourself.
Is that better?
That is much better. I can hear you nice and clear. Can you see me all good?
Yes.
Beautiful, mate. How's your day been so far?
Yeah, good. Is my picture coming through?
Yeah, I can see you.
Yep. Cool.
Awesome, mate. I see you're on the iPad there. Just want to check. Do you have like a charger nearby? Just because I know Zoom eats the battery on these.
Solid.
Mate, that is perfect. I love it. Well, just to introduce myself, so I'm Tom. I'm sure Nick would have mentioned about me, but I'm one of the senior consultants here. So I work very closely with Shane and Kai, who, as you would have seen on the videos, own the company. Yep. My main role is just to make sure we're setting the right expectations for people and really connecting them to the right kind of support. So in terms of today's conversation, we won't get too technical on trading. We'll just want to focus on yourself, understanding why you're hoping to get into this, maybe some current challenges. And based on that, if we're both confident this is the right next step, more than happy to walk through how we help our students. If not, no harm done. Sound cool?
Solid, brother. Really fucking good. That was a perfectly executed frame, in my opinion.
Cool. Yeah, cool.
Awesome, mate. Well, in your own opinion, mate, like what I guess brings you to the call? What's got you looking to get into trading?
Look, I bought some crypto probably maybe, I don't know, 2020. Okay. and was going to get into it, didn't really know a lot about it, just spent a little bit. And I sort of said to the missus, if we make some money out of it, cool. It was good. If it wasn't and we lose money, it's just a bad habit. It's like smoking or whatever. Okay. For a couple of years, we bought a couple, but we didn't buy and sell. We just bought and we just hung on to it. Okay. But it's something that I wanted to get into back then. Didn't really do it because my income and what I do, I was enjoying it when I could be home every night. Now that a few things changed at work and now I'm fly out and been doing this nearly 2 years now. I'm just missing the family growing up. So I want to get into something that I'd like to have a go at and make make a future out of it, more so than living in a 5x5 bedroom for 7 days or 8 days and then flying home, So
yeah. So it sounds like to me you really wanted to become a professional trader and make that your primary income, is that right?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. If I can replace what I do and make more, that'd be sweet as.
Wonderful, man. Wonderful. So just to loop back there, I know you mentioned, so 2020, you more so just bought and held. Were you using any kind of strategy or was it more just a bit of a punt that you took on the market?
No, we're just listening to what was, this is going to do this and this is going to do that. And we just went on and bought some XRP and XLM and XDC and a little bit of Bitcoin, but that's about it.
Yeah. Okay. That makes some sense. Gotcha. And since the initial investment, have you re-entered the market or sold what you had, or was it really just what you put in and you still?
Well, we bought it in our personal, and then I think it was 2 years later we bought it in our self-managed super fund, and it's just sat there as well. So
yeah, that makes sense. Now I know you mentioned before, so at the time you weren't working in FIFO, is that correct?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So when did that transition happen where you started working in the mines?
Well, I've been in the mines for 26 years.
That's a proper Aussie thing, right? Everyone does this crazy fucking manual labor out in the outback, don't they?
Yeah, it's fly in, fly out. So you might do like a week, and you'll work like fucking 18 hours a day, and then you'll get flown out to wherever you want to live. It's good. You'll make fucking 6K.
Good money, but it's grueling work.
Yeah,
right?
This guy makes like just short of £200,000 a year. Like he's on good money, but he's spending so much time away from his family. I mean, you'll see it later. Like his daughter's like getting fucked at school, and he's just not there for it. Like,
what?
Yeah. Oh wait, shit.
Yeah, but around September of 24. Actually, it was about August of 24. I had a run in with a boss down where I was working, and he was just a royal cock, so I ended up throwing my job in, and I had a couple of months off, and then because of this guy's, he made up a few false truths about me, and effectively I'm struggling to get a job back there because of it. And look, I did no favors to myself. I've always been taught that if you don't burn bridges, but if you're going to burn it, destroy it, so you can't cross it again. And I destroyed it, and it's cool. I'm happy with that. But what it means is now I've got to fly in, fly out, and I've got to rebuild my, I suppose, my reputation in the position I hold, and been up here. nearly 2 years. September will be 2 years. So yeah.
Okay.
And
I know you mentioned. Oh yeah, sorry.
Yeah. Oh, and it's just getting like for me, I've got a 10-year-old. He's the youngest at home. Like they're roughly well, put it this way, it's probably 2,000 k's away. So
Wow.
22 hours drive if you're driving in a car. So,
Wow. Yeah. What does the work schedule look like for you in terms of how much time you're at home versus how much?
So, because he's given us that, I would say 2 years. Wow, I suppose how long has it been then that you've actually wanted to get out of that and have a stable income that you can work remotely and have from home? Because now I can just go straight into that. Because all I want him to now acknowledge is that he's wanted that for quite a while. Effectively, he's probably wanted to do that for the whole 2 years because he'd rather do that than what he's doing. So as long as I then get the extended timeline, I'll say, wow, I suppose what's triggered you to step into this now then? Given the fact that you've wanted to do it over the last X length of time, have you tried anything to get this started beforehand? No. How come? What held us back from taking the necessary steps we needed to get into this space and field so that you can spend more time with the family, step out of the business? Like we can basically get straight through the whole frame just from here, really.
How much time you're away?
I do a 7 on 7 off roster, but I travel a day. Like I don't start work until tomorrow night, but because there's no flights to get me here tomorrow and have a sleep to lead into night shift, I have to come up the day before. So, I left home today at 9 o'clock and I got here at 7 o'clock. And then I'll effectively sleep in this room tomorrow and then go into night shift on my last shift, which is Tuesday next week. I'm only doing 7 this week. I will be awake about 28 to 30 hours by the time I get up and do my shift of 12 to 13 hours, then drive to the airport and catch 2 flights to get home.
Wow.
I'll be awake 28 hours at least.
So it's almost like 9 days on, 5 days off with the traveling time included.
Yep.
All right, man. So that leaves you with 10-ish days a month with the family. The rest of the time you're doing
Yeah.
I mean, how's that been for you over the past 2 years managing that schedule?
It's been hard because I've missed a fair bit. I've missed a fair bit of my kids growing up. Like the eldest, she's 21. She's just bought a house.
So a really good way to get somebody on this now is to glorify, or not glorify, wrong use of word, is to exacerbate the timeline, might be the best way of describing it. So what we would now say is, I mean, if we take a look at it together, I don't mean to alarm you, but effectively, given the fact we've only been able to see the kids 10 days of each month for the last 2 years, we've actually only been able to see the kids 8 months out of the last 24. Gosh. Effectively, we've only been able to spend 30% of the last 2 years of their life with them. And I mean, how old are they? And then he's going to say like X age, and you're going to be like, wow, okay. I mean, do you feel as though you have missed out on important moments as they've come through high school or gone through that year or XYZ? Because when you say it like that, somebody's like, oh, fucking hell, that sounds way worse. I've only seen my kids a third of their life for the last 2 years. You don't think of it that way when you just say 10 days a month. And then what Steve said, then get like a specific example of what he's missed. Like, has there been an event or a moment that you actually have missed out on because of work that you thought was significant? And then he's going to be like, yeah, this daughter had this specific birthday. I didn't get to be there. Oh, that must be tough as a dad. That's a statement, but obviously it's a statement, but it elicits an answer. Because if you make a statement like that, people will answer it as if it were a question. It's just like a language pattern, right? If someone says to you, that must be tough, you're going to say something back. Either like, yeah, or, oh, no, it's all right. No.
House and moving into that house. The middle daughter started high school this year and she's been bashed from pillar to post because she's a redhead and white skin. So she's been picked on a fair bit at the school she's at. So I haven't really been there to support her. And then the young
Whoa, okay.
So yeah, I've sort of missed them. So, and then obviously the missus has taken it all on when I'm not there, so.
Yeah. Of course. Yeah. I mean, I hate to ask, but how's that kind of been sitting with you? Like knowing that that's, I guess, going on, but you're not really.
I just had sort of missed them. Like that. I'd have just said it. I'd have just said it back. I wouldn't have said anything else. And he'd have gone, well, no, yeah, missed him. Like that. He'd have corrected himself on it, and that would have gotten pain in a sense.
Really able to be there and be as present as you'd like to.
Yeah, it's hard. Like it's very hard. That's why I want to. I want to try and find something that I can sink my teeth into and get stuck into. And if it can replace what I'm on, great. Then I don't need to be doing what I'm doing.
Okay. And would that mean that if you replace it, you can just move in again full time with the family and
100%.
trade?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So what do we need to be making in order to get there?
Oh look, I earn my package is about 350. What I'm on up here.
Okay.
So.
Okay. Cool. So yeah, so 350. Yeah, awesome. And of course, it's one of them. It's a skill set of trading that is going to take some time to learn, but gradually as your position size increases, yeah, of course. Yep. So, mate, I guess prior to reaching out to us, I'm curious, how long has it really been a goal of yours to make an alternative means of a full-time income as opposed to working in the mines?
Oh, look, I've wanted to.
Good for not fixating on the offer in and of itself. How long's it been that you've wanted to make an ulterior online income? That's the question people need to be asking. It's never about the very specific thing you're selling, because otherwise people will compartmentalize that and give you a way shorter time frame. It gives them a cop out. Whereas if you were to ask them how long has it been that you've wanted to make money online, effectively, they can't get around that because they've realistically wanted to make money online the whole time in a lot of cases, subconsciously or subvertedly.
To do it for a while. 2018, I was going to get out of mining and leave. My young fellow was 3, 4, and I before he went to school, I said I wanted to leave and get out of it. And I started looking at a few different things. Couldn't really find anything that I thought I could do. I suppose my skill set is unique to mining, and it really doesn't portray or doesn't fill out into normal society. So my role is, well, I suppose
right here, I just go, wait, how do you mean? Like that, like just confusion. And then he's going to be like, well, like I've been doing this mining like thing, so I can't necessarily. I'd be like, I mean, I suppose, but like when it comes to learning any new skill for the first time, what do you have to do initially? Now we're going to pin him on this because then he's going to have to say start, work on it to build it. I mean, I suppose before you started mining, would you say you were particularly great at the job? Or did you have to put time, effort, and input in to actually get to the level you're now at in the career you're currently successful in? I probably wouldn't even use the term successful. I'd probably just say in. And then he's going to be like, yeah. So, I mean, in this regard, what do you feel it was that actually held you back from putting the time and effort into an opportunity with an online vehicle that could actually get you XYZ outcome you're after? Does that make sense?
Probably would in some areas, but I'd have to go back and learn a heap, right? So,
because that's a limiting belief. That's we've got it. So we've got to effectively re-lens the limiting belief, have him take internal locus of the situation, and then push from there.
I'm effectively what you class as an open cut examiner. So my job is safety, managing people's that they're doing the job right, that they're following process, and that the tasks that they're doing it are in line with procedure and legislation. So for me to then go out into the big world and earn the money I'm earning, I'd have to go back to school and probably study for another 5 or 6 years. So
what were the alternatives that you were exploring at the time that would require 5 years of education?
Okay.
I looked at a few things. I looked at buying a couple of businesses. I looked at going into buying a motorbike shop, and then I looked at buying like a motorbike, small motors, ride-on mowers and all that type of stuff. But yeah, I just whatever I looked at, it wasn't just me. Like I couldn't find anything that would suit that I knew that I could put my own effort in and have my own reward. If that makes sense.
Do you mind just elaborating a bit? Because I feel like I kind of understand where you're coming from, but when you say like doesn't suit, is that based on like current skill set or what you want to do long term? Or
nice.
Well, I wanted to be able to do a thing where if I wanted to get up at 2 o'clock in the morning and get online, I could do it. And I could do 6 or 2 hours, or I could do 8 hours, or I could do whatever. But I could do it at my time. I didn't have to go in and Bundy clock in at 8 o'clock and then Bundy clock out at 5 o'clock, because I've done that for the last 26 years, and I didn't want to have to beat to someone else's drum, if that makes sense, by starting at a certain time, finishing at a certain time, and having your meetings at this time and your breaks at this time and whatever. It was about, okay, I want to work today at 2 o'clock and I want to get it over and done by 12, and then I want to go to take the kids wherever, all that type of stuff.
Yeah. So it sounds like ultimately you want to be your own boss and have more control. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And in your own opinion, mate, like what do you feel like was, I guess, the main thing that stopped you from just going ahead with something? Because I'm sure you'd agree, like it is the hardest part about a lot of these business models and ways you can make money is until you really do give something a go, you're never truly going to know the outcome. I guess for you, what do you feel like has been the main?
I'd have added a layer before this and said, well, there are a number of models that you could step into that don't require 3 to 5 years of education. I mean, in fact, people can dive straight in effectively, right? So I suppose what held you back from looking into a model that wouldn't require such an initial length of education that you could make the most of? That's what I'd ask, because he's used that as a get out of jail card effectively, but it's not true whatsoever. Like, this business model he's looking to start now is literally something he could have done back then. So that's the question we need to highlight. It's almost like, because he's copped out, now we actually do need to ask him more directly. Well, like, what held you back from doing a model such as this or various other models that don't require such as much time? Bam, bam, bam.
Anything holding you back from just picking one and going, I'm going to give this a good crack?
Because I haven't found something that fitted.
Okay.
That fitted what I wanted to do. I suppose my job, what I do, is equal time. Well, was equal time when I was home every night. Now it's sort of not, but it's hard to replace what I already know, and it's hard to replace what I do for the money that I do. Like, I didn't go to university. I'm not a scholar in that sense. I'm not stupid, but sometimes you got to punch it into me a couple of times for me to pick it up. But once it's locked in, it's there, and I know how to do it from that point on. So I suppose I'm smart in that area, but going back to learn and then having to perform and support others was what I was worried about. So it was probably a little bit, it's easy to stay in what I know and just persevere, if that makes sense.
Yeah, of course. Well, I mean, the first thing on that, mate, is you're definitely not stupid if you found a way to make $350,000 a year. I mean, that's top 1% in Australia. So you're obviously doing something right. But touching on that, is it fair to say that maybe continuing to do what you're doing now is almost a comfortable decision as opposed to just taking the leap?
Oh, 100%. It's definitely comfortable. Like, other than the...
We could have layered that more. Like, really good, on the right track. However, I would have just layered it with a few more open-ended questions to then get him to, like, affirmatively buy into that ideology. So I would have said exactly what you said there. I think at times, this is just personal preference though. This isn't a binary. Like, I'm just not a guy who does any form of flattery in a lot of cases for people, but it's fine to compliment someone in essence when, like, it is the truth effectively. Like, he's doing better than the average. So I would have said exactly what you said there effectively. And then I'd have said, but if we look at it together, if we continue to make decisions like we have done up to this point, what sort of result will that actually lead to going forward? And now he'll say, well, yeah, it's like the same result, right? And if we continue to make decisions like we have done in the past, would you say that's us choosing the new uncomfortable option, or is that continuing to choose the option that we actually find more comfortable because we've got knowledge within it? Now he'll say comfortable, and then you say, and when it comes to your growth, I suppose inside business and even outside of business, do you feel that comes from the place of comfortability or discomfort? Discomfort. So there you go. That's how I'd kind of layer it to that level.
Than this room, or living remote, the whole job's comfortable, right?
So exactly.
And that's the hardest part,
It is for most people, because, like, you'll understand, I mean, where does the growth really happen? Is it in the comfort zone or outside the comfort zone?
Yes, yeah.
Because if we do just zoom out and look at it objectively, I mean, you, I guess, taking the comfortable route over the past 8 years, you've been wanting to make the change. What do you feel like that's really cost you over that time frame?
Oh, it's cost me a lot of, well...
There's also a bit of a disconnect here, because one thing that you can sometimes utilize is the fact of the matter being the comfortable decision is to stay in familiarity. That's what the mind finds comfortable. But is the situation and circumstance we're in actually comfortable? Like, how would you define comfort to yourself? And then have him define that and say, because given what you mentioned there with you missing out on the last XYZ years, missing your daughter going through high school, working a job that you feel doesn't actually give you the necessary freedom that you deserve, would you define that as comfortable? So looking at it together, what do you feel it is that's actually caused you to choose that path over the last X length of time? Now we're actually going to potentially get the limitation, because then he'll have to say something more tangible. So then it would be, well, I just wasn't sure whether this would work, or I didn't know where to start. They're going to give us a limitation, and then we know how to reframe one of those then. Like, didn't know where to start. We can use the Christopher Columbus analogy. We can effectively just put it into their court and say, well, in order for you to gain the knowledge to understand where to start, what would you effectively need to do first? Get the help, right? To figure out how to start and where to start, and vice versa. So almost coming from an extreme ownership perspective now, what stopped you from finding that help, given the fact that the last 2 years we've been in a position that's effectively not allowed you to have the family life that you've been looking for. Because that's like what we want to get. Because if you look at it now, we're on like a really good track here, but it's almost like we could be a few layers deeper. Like there is the option to get a few layers deeper here with him, because until he actually actualizes to himself the belief system he's been holding that's led him to this point, he's potentially not really even going to have an understanding of it. Because by the sounds of things, it's a lack of confidence and conviction in himself or the vehicle that it'll actually work. Because if it was guaranteed it would work, he'd have done it.
I could have done a lot of different things, like, yeah, could have done a lot of totally different things. Could have been sitting somewhere by the beach where the family would have been a lot more enjoying than what we're doing right now. So, should have done something. Would have been better to find something like this that I could sink my teeth into a lot earlier. But yeah, sorry.
No, you're saying.
Oh, and I suppose over the last couple of years, like last time I looked at this, there was a few things going on at the start of the year, and I have been pretty keen, but I think I missed one catch up like this because my daughter was at school and she got sort of she ended up in hospital, but that's just the way it was and that's the way it felt. And then I'm like, well, this is not meant to be, and it never sort of happened. And then the other guy reached out again the other day, and I'm like, no, this is probably the right time. So things happen for reasons in life. I live by. So of course.
Wow.
Of course.
Okay.
Well, no, that makes a lot of sense. I really
Limiting
appreciate
ideology.
clarity there. I guess one thing I'm curious on though, mate, is for you.
But who decides when things happen on a fundamental level? Because can you see how if we continue to hold that belief system that you're effectively disempowering yourself? Well, let's look at it this way, right? Let's say there's two individuals, two parents, they're hard workers, they've got a family that they love and care for, and you've got one individual who says, I have to wait to take decisive action, to make a change for my family, to put them in a position that I really want them to be in. Or we have the other individual who says, I decide when that time happens, when that time is right, and takes affirmative action that may be imperfect, but he's taking control of the decision. Out of those two ways of operating, who do you feel is actually empowering themselves more? The first or the second? It's the second. How come? Because he's taking the decision on himself. He's doing it. So, like, if we can just be straight with each other here, brother, almost holding your hands up. Looking internally for a moment, what do you think it is that stopped you from making the time right over the last 2 years? See, like, these are all just ways I'm giving you that we could have, like, tried to put it on him and said, like, you've got to hold your hands up here, man. You have to. Because until he holds his hands up, his locus is external. He is still saying the world. He literally just said verbatim, I believe that the world determines when the time is right and things happen for a reason. That is literally the equivalent of like someone who's like properly external locus. They don't believe it's within their control. They believe life happens to them, not that they happen to life, effectively.
Why do you feel like now is the time to actually start to make that change and step out of the comfort zone essentially, as opposed to kicking it down the road for another 6, 12, 24 months?
I'm at that point where I'm sort of like I flew up here today and I didn't really want to come up here, and I've always enjoyed my job and always wanted to be in it. Obviously, part of it is I wanted to get out on my own, but when I do turn up to work, like I don't take sickies. But today I felt like not flying up here, and I'm starting to drag my feet to come to work. So I'm knowing that I need to start doing something. If not, I'm going to end up, leaving, and I'll probably just.
But is this genuinely something new?
End up holding a lollipop on the side of the highway because, I don't know.
Yeah.
Things need to change.
I do. And I'm curious, what really shifted recently? Because I know you said like this is kind of the first time you've started coming and being like, I really don't want to be here, and like say the sicky and stuff. Like, what was the shift?
Oh, I suppose just with what's happened with my daughter and the life we've been talking about moving from where we live down in New South Wales for, probably since 2019, and I've been wanting to move and Mrs. hasn't. But I suppose everything that's happened in the last month, like she's now not at school. She's just turned 13 and she's not at school because
there's one thing we're not being on this call, which I think is effectively okay. Like we said, we're just getting initial reps in, and for an initial rep, this is really good. You've done really well. You've got a really good conceptualization of where we're trying to go and what we're trying to get, but we've not been disagreeable enough. That's the key here. We have been agreeing quite a lot, and we've been asking the right questions, we've been getting the right information, but this is an individual who needs a level of challenge toward him now.
She got her head kicked in at school, and it's
Sure.
not because so it's not because she's not a smart ass, she's not a shit stirrer. She just I mean, she wears a heart on her sleeve. So to see her, like I've said to my missus, she's not going back to school until we work out what we're doing and where we're going. So yes, her education's put on hold. We've got all the learning stuff at home for her, but my problem is that school that she was at was not good, and that was just a combination of where we were living. You know, it's not a nice place, but it's showing that we need to move. We need to make a change, both where we live and what we do, so we can be together as a family and move move on. So that's sort of been, I suppose, the push to get things to change.
I love that. And it really sounds like, as a family, you're ready to kind of start a new chapter moving forward.
Yeah.
And
you see how the decisions we've made up to this point have almost turned a want into a need. Because we really need to put the onus of responsibility onto him. This is what this guy needs. He needs to acknowledge that the reason why they're living in that location and his daughter is now, unfortunately, being bullied in school is because of the decisions he's made up to this point. That is why they're in this circumstance. And until he acknowledges that, and it's not the fact that there's some cosmic superpower that determines when the time is right, then he's effectively still disempowering himself. Because until he takes on that responsibility, how is he going to be able to take it on to move forward? You could get a consequence question here as well. Yep. You could slip a consequence in here, cost of inaction, effectively, and say, you could, however, my frame of mind, just to tell you where I would be at this point in the conversation, is thinking I need this guy to acknowledge that the reason as to why they're in that situation is because of him. Stay mute if you're just casually, just because there's some echo coming through. Yeah. That is what I would want to lean on, and then I can consequence regardless. That could be a natural part to consequence on, though. I'd definitely consequence this guy. Holy shit. Because he's got a huge consequence. Like, effectively, he has to do something about this. Otherwise, his daughter's going to stay. Well, she's already effectively been pulled out of education. Is that what he wants? Do you want to have to homeschool your daughter and have her limited social circle, effectively? Blah, blah, blah.
Well, I do like to ask the difficult questions because I find the people that can sit with them and answer tend to do the best on
Here
the
we go.
inside. But let's just say, hypothetically, we aren't able to really push past the comfort zone and we do stay in, the role that we're in right now for another few years. I mean, for you, man, what do you feel like that's really going to look like for you and the family?
Oh, not real good, because I think if we stayed where we were, I think I'd end up losing my daughter, and I don't want to do that. So,
Wow, that's a consequence right there. Sheesh.
I need to change. She needs to change. We need to change.
Okay. So I guess on that then, mate, are you ready for today to really be for today to, I guess, signify you actually finally making a change and, I guess, taking the first step out of the comfort zone as opposed to continuing to push it back? Awesome.
No,
definitely. Based on everything we've covered, I'm very, very confident with your level of commitment and, I guess, the emotional.
So that's the point where you need, see, here's the problem. And you've probably heard me say this to a lot of individuals. Because we haven't been disagreeable enough from the start of the call, you can't suddenly do it now. Because that's not the identity we've embodied from the beginning. So if you do begin to challenge, it's going to come across very peculiar. And effectively now, you're going to be in a really tricky spot to objection handle this guy. You've set yourself up in a difficult situation. The consequence was done at a good time, but you need to sit in the weight of consequence. This guy really hasn't sat in the weight of the statement he's just made. He just said he might lose his daughter. We need clarity on that. I'd have said, wow. I suppose, like, what do you mean you'd lose her? Like, I'm sitting in this. Then he's like, well, like, she's been talking about her mental health, maybe. I don't know. Is he saying someone's going to kill her? Is he saying she's going to kill herself? They're two completely different things. Is he saying he might lose her just socially because he's distant as a dad? Like, what is this situation he's conjuring up in his own mind that me and him now need to sit in? And then we have to lean on the fact of the matter being, in regard to being in this situation and circumstance, like I of course, well, one thing I always like to say to everybody that I chat with is, would you prefer me to be nice or kind? Like nice and say what you want to hear, or kind and say what you need to hear? Or I'd say the family analogy, family thing where I say, are you open to me chatting to you as if I was your brother here? And then he's going to be like, yeah. When we look at it together, can you see how the decisions that we've made up to this point, and as you mentioned earlier, choosing that comfortable option, the familiar option, is what's actually led us here? Yeah. And are you genuinely ready and willing now as a man to break out of that perpetual cycle so that together we can ensure that certainly doesn't happen in the future? Yeah. Why now, though? Because I know you mentioned that these circumstances have driven us to this point. But from an internal perspective here, what's actually made you ready to make that change outside of the fact these things have happened and these events have occurred? What's made you ready to do so? Because see, that's a different question. Because it's all well and good me saying, I need to do this because I just had a house fire and I lost my home, and now I need to make more money to get an apartment. But that is an external event that I am now saying is the reason as to why I now need to change and do this. But why am I actually now ready to internally change? That's a completely different question. So that's the weight we'd need to get out of this guy to actually get a level of affirmative buy into this. Especially because he did use the word if 2 to 3 times earlier in the conversation. So there's still a level of uncertainty within himself as to whether this is even a vehicle that will get him this life that he's looking for.
Drivers that you have to fuel you, that you will be able to get a result with us. It's just a case of obviously putting in the work over a consistent period of time. But what I'm happy to do for you, mate, is actually share my screen and give you a bit of a rundown on
Give the pitch.
the community, the in-person
Wrong. I was going in and you.
service of it. The good thing with the
Have you price dropped with this still shared?
No, I price drop on the next slide comes on.
Ollie?
I was just going to say, obviously, you're still externalizing it. You're still like a victim of circumstance. And you said that, obviously. Can you see how the decisions we've made so far by taking the uncomfortable route have led us to where these events are happening?
Yeah, completely.
What if, the comfortable route. What if he pushed back on that and said, I can't quite see that, or let's say, he was like, kind of.
Well, we can look at it together, right? So you mentioned earlier that we were in crypto back in 2000 and, well, you were looking into it back in 2018, effectively. And then we got into it relatively in 2020. Remember you saying there? But it wasn't necessarily something that you were trying to step into as a genuine full-time trader. It was effectively an investment that you started to get into. And you mentioned there that the reason as to why we didn't step into an online vehicle that could make us the money we need to get the freedom we're after so that you can have time with your daughter was due to the fact that you weren't familiar with those models and you've been going down this mining route for the last XYZ length of time. But can you see in that instance, what we're choosing to do is the familiar path, the path that we have the most knowledge currently in and the one that we are most comfortable pursuing? Yeah. I can see that, obviously, because surely he can, right? And when it comes to actually starting something new, a venture such as this, as an example, how are you actually ever going to gain that initial confidence and knowledge that you're after? So, holding your hands up here, can you see how the fact that we haven't taken that initial step to actually start to get the knowledge we need is the exact reason as to why we're now in this circumstance, sat on this call together? Because there must have been something holding you back internally from taking that step back then. Because you're a capable guy. You know, you're clearly a hard worker. You've proved that to yourself time and time again. And I can see how important it is for you to actually make money for your family, spend time with your daughter and the people you love. So this certainly isn't something that you're brushing to the wayside. So whatever it is that's actually held us back up to now must be a very powerful force. Would you agree? And I know these questions can be difficult, but that's exactly what I'm here for. And that's what we're going to be here for once you've joined. We're here to make sure that we can guide you through these difficulties so that we can ensure that we do get success together moving forward in a vehicle like this. And we can get you to the point where your daughter certainly is in a much better position. You can be there as the supportive father that you clearly want to be. That's how I do it.
No, that's super useful. Appreciate it.
No worries.
On the investment. So just based on data, because we've obviously been running this show for quite a long time, we found that people who are able to, I guess, make the decisive decisions and take action tend to be the ones who get the best results, because it's very similar to what's going to happen in the markets when you see a trade playing out. So for people who are able to make a decision on the same day, what I'm able to do is drop either the boardroom down.
Slow down. It's hilarious because I helped someone with like sales on one of my consulting like group sessions that I jumped onto, and like everyone was laughing and they were like, he's just like got it in his head. Like he can just say it out of nowhere. And like sometimes I like forget, like I actually just come up with it on the spot, and I'm like, this just shows the power of just repetition. Just repetition. Because I can tell you right now, I had no idea how to do any of this a year ago. Not a clue. You could have asked me that same question probably a year ago, and probably a year ago, I've had a relative idea, but I definitely wouldn't have been able to deliver it with that level of conviction. It's all down to state. Being the person that you've wanted to be, investing in yourself, taking the necessary steps.
Down from 17 to 15, and similar with the precision, I can drop that from 10 to 8. So the leniency is there as well. Okay. Now, of course, if you need to take some time to think about it, you're more than welcome to. I just want to best understand and see if I can help. I guess when you do go,
do not do this. Whoa. Do not do that ever again. I'm just going to make that as clear as I can. You have effectively just given yourself an objection, is what you've just done. Like you've just given yourself a think about it objection there. You just stay quiet after you've dropped the price. You drop the price, you've passed the ball into their court. It's their turn to play the ball. We'll see what they do with it. And then we have the confidence in ourselves that whatever play they make, we've got the defense, effectively. We know how to maneuver.
Go away and think about it. What's kind of coming up for you?
So
Wait, has he said he
Yeah,
needs
I was
to go and think
like,
about it?
bro,
Okay.
there's no way I did that after the price
Yeah.
drop. No, he said he needs to think about it. And
I
then
was gonna say, surely not, right?
and go from there. So
Oh, here we go. So you've already price dropped then?
We can see it.
Was that like a reprice drop that I heard you do?
I'm just
So
reading
like,
what's
how do you
in,
want to proceed? Something like that.
each one of them.
Oh, yeah, sure.
No, you're right. Look, I definitely, for me, there's a lot of info's just gone straight in. I'd probably like, I don't know, 24 hours to just think about committing. Definitely, because I really like what I've heard. And I like the two options that are there. Like you said, the executive one's probably a little bit high, but these two bottom ones, 12 months support and 24, and go from there. So that's an upfront cost, is that the way it goes?
Yeah. So I will let you know, and I do have some flexibility for this, and we can talk about this. But yeah, so they're two upfront costs. Now, I do have a bit of leniency on the investment. So just based on data, because we've obviously been running this show for quite a long time, we've found that people who are able to, I guess, make the decisive decisions and take action tend to be the ones who get the best results, because it's very similar to what's going to happen in the markets when you see a trade playing out. So
you don't want to do this now. Yeah, because think of it this way, this actually makes your life way easier to do it the other way around. So we've already gotten the objection now, which is a smoke screen. I need 24 hours because what the fuck? That doesn't change anything. So we actually have to uncover why he feels the need for the 24 hours, right? That's what we have to find. However, what we want to do is never go into like a potential discount or a payment plan or anything like that until we have unpacked this 24-hour objection Then once we've gone through the ringer effectively, and we've gotten them to the point where they've acknowledged that like they don't effectively need 24 hours and that it's this instead, and that it's hesitation or uncertainty behind whether they'll get the result. Once we've gotten them to the point where we get an affirmative buy-in there, effectively, let me just make it up in my head and say he was uncertain whether he'd be able to get the result because he's never done anything like this before. So that's why he feels like he needs time to think on the decision before he makes it. And then we help unpack that for him. And then we have him acknowledge that, is he ever necessarily going to feel ready when he's never done something before? And will 24 hours actually change that internal sensation? No. So look, the money is the easy part. That's what I always lean on. Like, the money's the easy part. The difficult part for the both of us now is ensuring that you're ready and willing to become the man, the father, the husband that's willing to do whatever it takes for his family and willing to step into the shoes of the individual that can face up to discomfort, change his situation and circumstance so that this time around we can actually make this happen. We can make this a reality. XYZ goals we discussed before. So what I want to ask you is, are you willing to try? And any of you's like, yes. Because look, if it's the finances in and of themselves, we can have an open conversation about that. But I just want to make sure that we're both on the same page here, because we have to be in order for us to move forward positively from this point. Then he's like, no, like, yeah, like I want to figure out a way of doing this. Then I'll drop the price like that. Then I'll give them this like incentive, because now it feels as though you've made that specially for them effectively. Like, you don't talk about that usually, but because he's now so bought in and he's so affirmative and I can tell how much this means to you, we'll look at it together. Now, effectively what we've found is people who take affirmative and then do what you're doing now.
So for people who are able to make a decision on the same day, what I'm able to do is drop either the boardroom down from 17 to 15, and similar with the precision, I can drop that from 10 to 8.
Because I can guarantee you the reason as to why he feels the need for 24 hours isn't going to change, even if you were to knock fucking $7,000 off this.
Lean into that as well. Now, of course, if you need to take some time to think about it, you're more than welcome to. I just want to best understand and see if I can help. I guess when you do go and think about it, what's kind of coming up for you?
So I suppose my thing in the morning, I'll be talking to my missus about this. I'm going to have to, because at the moment, just through a few things, don't have a lot of cash floating in our account. So I'd have to obviously go and draw some back off my home loan to get it, which is cool. That's cool, because we are about a month off selling our house anyway, one of our houses. So we've just refinanced and then everything's gone to shit with my daughter. So we're selling our house in the next month. We're putting a house up in New South Wales to sell, and we are moving to Queensland to live in our other house. So that's where I'm at with that. So the idea was I'd have a chat to my missus in the morning and go from there, and then I would be chasing up how I'm going to get that cash to pay for this, because this is where I want to head. So
100%, man. That makes total sense. So just out of curiosity, does your missus know that you like kind of taking the call and looking into these options at the moment?
Yeah.
Awesome. So I imagine she's pretty supportive of you wanting to,
look, she initially she wasn't, because my missus is look, she's.
I would have lent on. How does she feel about what's been happening at home? There we go. How does she feel about what's happening at home? Because that's where we get the urgency. We get him to acknowledge that his wife's been incredibly stressed, really like hates the fact his daughter's been struggling and suffering in school, and the fact he has to work away now so much. We get into that now. And then we say, well, gosh, I can imagine she's supportive then of starting the vehicle that can actually resolve that, right? Yeah. He'll go into
She's
this
very
now.
tech savvy on computers, but she doesn't understand a lot about cryptos.
And then we'd carry on, like, because when you actually go away and have that conversation, like, what are some of the things that are coming up for you then in that regard? You see now how, because I've layered the pain of how does she feel about the situation, and you can just say that in such a natural way, it's effectively like setting himself up to now, like, how is he now going to say they're going to go away and have a conversation about the price? You see what I mean? Because if he's just spoke about the fact his wife's distraught about his daughter, like, being bullied viciously and assaulted, what, they're going to go have a little chit chat as to whether they can do this? Huh? What's the what's the alternative? What's the alternative? I mean, God forbid, you mentioned it earlier, but I don't want to have to be the one to reiterate that. I mean, you said you'd lose your daughter. Obviously, because we would have got clarity on that sooner. You know, when he first said it, we'd have like loads of weight behind it. You mentioned that like your daughter's been XYZ struggling. I suppose what actually is the alternative decision here? I'd have asked it as a very genuine question.
And all that
Of
type of
course.
stuff. So
Of course.
she was guided by me with what we've done. We watched it rise and we watched it fall, and we've been watching it go up and down, but we really sort of haven't done it anymore. And I've been talking a while about I want to get in and start trading with what we've got, or get into that style of work and be able to do that type of stuff. And yeah, we've spoken about it for a little bit now. So
See, logistics. We need to get him to emotion now, and we've got the leverage to do that now because he's got a very powerful why now, which is his daughter.
Yeah, so
no, that's great. It's good that you guys communicate very openly because ultimately it's a family decision. I appreciate that is is an investment to make.
Yeah.
I guess just so I can understand when you do go to her, is it more so I guess going to let her know, hey, I found this and I think this is something that I'm probably going to do, or is it more so, hey, can we do this? Like which is the more relevant?
Oh, it's probably more about because everything we do is about approval. Like this is what I want to do. I just need to grab this to do this. And she'll probably voice her a bit about yes or no, or she'll try and find a little bit for me to give her a bit of understanding about it. But she's also wanting to get into something as well, but she just doesn't know what she wants to do.
Yeah, it's what I've said. So now we can all hear that now, can't we? Like if we'd gotten to the daughter just with that very first question about how she feels about the situation and circumstance, it would have immediately taken this conversation to an emotional conversation, not a logistical conversation. Because now we're not going to be able to get past this objection. It's stonewalled.
To do.
Can't get past it.
So if I can show her this, then she'll probably jump on board at some stage because she's a lot more switched on with this than I am.
Awesome.
So yeah, because she runs her own charity and she built a charity.
Yeah, see, his brain's now fixating on the fact that she'll jump onto this because she's good at computers and she would understand this. No, she would jump onto this because this is the way in which you're going to avoid your daughter from dying. That's why she's going to jump onto it, mate. What you said earlier. Wouldn't say that bluntly, but
charity up to where it's making a fair bit of money, but she now wants to roll back out of it because it's taking up so much of her time. And obviously with the family now with these.
And then I'm assuming that effectively we couldn't get past that at that point, and it was like, okay, go away, speak to your wife, and then we'll jump back on tomorrow.
Yeah, and then we did the call today, and his main thing was he said he really wants to. His whole thing is he does want to do it because obviously he's got a lot of pain built up and reasons to change. But I let him externalize too much, and he wants to do it after he's moved house in 6 weeks because he doesn't believe in himself to be able to 100% commit to multiple things at once. I used like a few different analogies. There was obviously, he said to me, he's like, well, there's no point going to the gym for 30 minutes a day if you're just going to go on the treadmill. I said, well, it's, better than not going to the gym. And he couldn't get past that belief. I used like 3 or 4 reframes and I was like, I can't get through to this guy. But I fucked up on the first call, which is why.
Yeah. Because he was still an external locus. He said the reason as to why he was doing this was because it was a cosmic universal right time. Like the moment we allow somebody to continue with that identity, then they're going to be the type of guy who says stuff like that. Because they're just not taking on responsibility for the reason why they're here in life. So therefore, they're never going to be able to take responsibility for how they change. That's the key. That's like the easiest way I can explain it to you. Like if somebody doesn't take full onus of responsibility for their life currently, then they won't be able to do so when it takes even more than that to take you to the next level, because you've got to usually invest a fucking quite lot of money. And that's scary. It's fearful. And your current identity will cease to exist the moment you pay in full and join like all of you guys had to pay to join this community. Your old identity was the one that was scared of doing that. So your old identity will do anything it can to cling on to existence by making you come up with all of these irrational worst case circumstances or scenarios that I was going to steal all your money, put it in a bag and then run away and not coach any of you. Like that's how powerful fear can be. It'll come up with all of this crazy stuff. But the moment someone actually takes that first step, invests into themselves, does what it takes, it's like shatters that past identity. And then it opens up the doorway to like so many new opportunities and prospects and vice versa. That's what we're there to do. That's what we're there to serve. Really good fucking call though, brother. For like, that's your first ever closing call.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Frame was well
Really
good.
good.
That intro was sick.
Wait, that's your first ever call?
I did one that was a financial DQ, so we didn't even go all the way through. So that was my first.
Wait, I'm kind of confused. I thought I thought you've been doing sales calls. I mean, you sound like it. That's why I'm like,
He's been
wait,
setting, bro. That's how
Yeah,
good we are.
what,
That's
bro?
how,
It's the
that's how
mustache,
good
lad. It's
this
the
guy
mustache.
is. This guy
Mustache
is
is
a
cooking.
It's
killer.
crazy because I was under the assumption like you have some really good sales skills. Like the
Yeah.
first time you came on and you did objection handling, I'm like, dude, this guy
Yeah.
knows what he's doing. So I figured you were like on an offer, wanted to level up like a
bro.
little more.
This
So
dude's
I
a,
thought
That's
you
the
were in a
boost
good
I
spot
needed.
already,
Thank you.
dude. That's your first
this
call.
this dude's got sales prodigy genes.
Yeah,
You know?
that's very impressive, bro. I did not know this.
Yeah.
That was your first call
Thanks, bro.
or second call. Still,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter.
I've done
Everybody-
sales for a few years, just
Yeah.
not this. Yeah.
Okay.
Ah, there you go. A little bit of
Okay.
background there.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm like, dude, first ever call. That's how it went. That was great.
everybody in his, I don't think all of you guys in here realize how more advanced you are than a lot of other people in this industry and space. Like, even from a conceptualization standpoint, like, there are closers who have been closing for like the last 2 years. I mean, that guy on net revenue said, Johan and Yako, your objection handling was categorically way better than his. And he's been making 20K a month in sales and he's been high ticket closing for 2 years. So I'm like, that just demonstrates the level at which people are operating at in this space. Boom. All right. Stay blessed, boys. That was killer. Go crush the rest of the day.
Thank you,
Well
Catch you
done,
bro.
later.
Tom. Well done, Tom.
Well
See you
done.
later.
Cheers.
Peace.